listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Hello. Welcome to another edition of the Narrative Podcast. The Narrative Podcast is the home of original people, peace, reciprocity, and positive frames of reference. And I am your host, Halsey Allen. Welcome to the one, the only, the mighty Narrative Podcast. Welcome all my narrators. Welcome, family. Welcome all newcomers who are unfamiliar with me and my platform. I give you guys a quick walkthrough or an overview of my content before diving into the content this evening. For the new people, my narrators, they are my listeners that tune in every week. So they already know what the platform is about. They already know what type of content I'm going to share this evening. But for those that don't, I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough before diving into the content and get going here this evening. So for those that don't know, this is a live edition of the Narrative Podcast. I do a full broadcast of the Narrative Podcast on the weekends during the weekdays. It's just super random. So therefore, my format is a lot different from my format on the weekend. So, take this opportunity. The content's out there right now, wherever you get your podcast from, to go check it out, to see the difference from the weekday and the weekend. And remember to download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast, wherever you get your podcast from. So before diving into the content, I'm going to walk you through, give you an overview of the Narrative Podcast 101 for all the newcomers before diving into the content. So let's start at the top, the tippy, the name, the Narrative Podcast. I named my podcast the Narrative Podcast because I don't like the false narrative that the media weaves about original people and original culture. I come to the original people part momentarily. But is exactly why I designed this platform. I don't like the way where, the media exploits our images and our likenesses to sell news. They intentionally portray us in a negative light. And so what I want to do to remedy that is design a platform where I'm celebrating our accomplishments and encouraging all that listen to my podcast to do the same as well. And also bring awareness to, why it's important to, responsibly use your platforms when you're, sharing content that features our people and our culture. So that's basically what I do here on the Narrative Podcast is, provide listeners with positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, and encourage all the listeners to do the same. As a matter of fact, that's a perfect segue for my tagline. The Narrative Podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original culture. How do I destroy these negative stereotypes and stigmas about our people and our culture? By providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. So like I said, the media intentionally does this, intentionally misrepresents our people and our culture in order to sell news. And the reason being primarily it's for profit but then also it's controlled by the powers that be. And, you know, the powers that be has a wicked, evil agenda. They basically want to twist the narrative. They basically want to contort and alter people's perceptions of, you know, everything that doesn't resemble them. So the people who are in power, the powers that be, are the higher echelon dominant society, aka elitist, wealthy white people. And so to keep themselves in power, they basically manipulate propaganda to, you know, make them tower above everyone else, not in the same tax bracket as them or white, to make them appear degenerate, low in intelligence and low in morals. And that helps them, you know, cement their socioeconomic stronghold over, you know, all the financial tangibles. Basically, they don't want to shift, they don't want to usurp their power. So they want to basically play dirty pool and make everybody else that's not of the elite class look like dirtballs. They do this to everybody, but they especially do it to our people. And the reason why they do it to our people the most is because, you know, as ruthless and diabolical they are, they're also smart, very intelligent. They're aware of their history and they are aware of our history. And the thing that frightens them the most is if our people ever got on one accord and, you know, moved together in unison and stayed codified, that we would do to them what they've done and are currently doing to us. But it's an ill-gotten fear, because that's not the true nature of our people. We don't have a history of rape. We don't have a history of, you know, waging war, taking things that's not ours, taking credit for things we didn't do. So that's not us, that's them. And like I said, they do it to everybody, but they just do it to us especially, because, you know, they're especially fearful of us. Because they know we are the original people. We originated pretty much everything. So that's kind of why, you know, I refer to our people as original people versus black. On this platform, I try to refer to our people as original people versus black, because I feel that's a more accurate depiction of who we are as a people. We was originally here thousands of years before every other civilization on the planet. Basically, we mothered and fathered civilization. We originated everything. And we was also originally located on every, you know, part of the world. Every corner of the globe, we was already indigenously, originally located there, especially here in the Americas, especially in any Spanish-speaking nation. We was already there. We was also in parts of Europe, so that's why I try to refer to our people as original people as often as possible, because it's historically accurate to describe us as a people, because black is not a color, it's not a ethnicity, a nationality, nothing. It's a color that, you know, there are some very dark complected brothers and sisters, but they're not black. Also, referring to ourselves as original people, that also helps unify us as a people, because there are so many different types of us scattered all throughout the globe. We all, you know, have different values, belief systems, morals, upbringing, traditions, whatever. Anything that you can divide a people with, you know, we're divided with. But, you know, the one thing we all have in common, the one thing that's, you know, scientifically proven, without a doubt, that we can all trace our original point of origin, our lineage, back to the original point of origin for all mankind. We all can, you know, we can all trace our roots back to that. So that, you know, unifies us as a people, referring to ourselves as original people. And I encourage, you know, the phrase original people versus black as often as possible on the Narrator podcast. And I refer to our people as often as possible on the Narrator podcast in place of the word black, because I just believe that's an inaccurate, you know, description of us as a people. My personal belief. You know, if you're comfortable calling yourself black, referring yourself to black, blackity black, black, whatever, you know, no judgment, no shade, go right on ahead. But here on the Narrator podcast, I try to refer to our people as original people and encourage all listeners to do it as well. So next thing, I'm going to tell you why I call my target listening audience my narrators. The reason being is because we now live in the digital information age, and we all share information digitally. You know, that's how, you know, we meet each other, and, you know, that's how we're perceived as individuals these days. People associate you as a person, just as an individual, based on, you know, what you're posting online. And not only that, that's how Fortune 500 companies, you know, collect data to manufacture product, is, you know, they're online looking at stuff, you know, studying trends and creating product to accommodate what they perceive to be a demand for, you know, whatever. So I'm going somewhere with that. So just imagine us as a people, how we look to, you know, corporate America, feeding into and regurgitating these negative stigmas and stereotypes about our people and our culture placed over us by, you know, dominant society and the media. So how do we look like as a people playing up pimp culture, whore culture, gang culture, drug culture, all these degenerate, you know, facets of life? How do we look like as a people, you know, feeding into that? This is why we have such horrible, you know, television shows, movies, books, literature depicting us in a negative light. Is because we are demonstrating that, you know, that interests us, that we like it, that we want to be looked at and viewed in that manner, and that we agree that that's who we are as a people, and what we represent, and we want to be portrayed and perceived like that. And so these Fortune 500 companies, they'll take that statistical data and they'll create all these degenerate programming and product to accommodate, what they perceive to be a want for. So, that's why I call my target listening audience my narrators, because being that we are in the digital information age, we can't control how people perceive us as, or what they think about us, but what we can control is the type of content we put out, that we post on our platforms. So we got the chance to shift or change the narrative, or tell or narrate our own stories. So that's not the end-all, be-all solution for all this propaganda that's being spewed about our people, but it is a solution. The more positive things we post, the more we'll start seeing it pop up in feeds. The more, product to accommodate, decent content will be, matriculated across all platforms, meaning like we'll see more shows and podcasts where our people is engaging in intellectually stimulating conversations. We'll see more content, see and hear more content playing up sound, stable family structure, playing up sound, stable sense of community, us taking care of our children, us taking care of our elderly people, our elders, respecting our elders, respecting each other, peacefully cohabitating with one another, resolving our differences in a civil manner instead of all this degeneracy and ratchetness and obscurities about our people and our culture. Like, we can control what we post online on our platforms. Can't help, what the what people outside of our culture think about us. Because a racist is a racist, a bigot is a bigot, and there's just like, there's nothing you can do to change their minds. And that's definitely not the goal of my podcast, is to change the minds of people outside of our culture, to enlighten people outside of our culture, to seek validation from people outside of our culture. This entire podcast is dedicated under the assumption, under this principle: if you're going to tell our story correctly. Tell it from the perspective of we're kings and queens, gods and goddesses of the universe. Tell it from that perspective, or don't tell it at all. So that's what my podcast is about. That's my mission statement, is to bring awareness and inspire and motivate people to share positive content about our people and our culture, i.e. narrate, i.e. become a narrator. So, it's all of our jobs to responsibly utilize our platforms with the, responsibility of upholding the sovereignty of our community and our images and our likenesses. So now that you got I think I covered just about everything. I guess one more final thing. This podcast is a safe space. It's a positive space. I don't, support gossip. I don't engage in gossip. I don't trivialize over it. I actually, try to disparage gossip, because I think gossip is actually killing our community, because we're the only class of people who have been brainwashed into, throwing each other under the bus, casting dispersions on each other, and trying to use our platforms to inflict harm on one another, either our livelihood, our reputation, or just just on some jealousy type stuff. No other class of people does that. Only we do it. You never see two Italians beefing online. Never see people in the Spanish community going back and forth in comment sections. You never see, Europeans going back and forth and calling each other names and, what is it, the term, throwing shade at each other. You never see that. Only our people. Because, we've been programmed and conditioned to do that by the powers that be. And the powers that be run the media. They run all media outlets. So they're trying to warp, our perception of ourselves and, pervert the true nature of our people, which is love, which is enlightenment, which is intelligence, to, try to make us into the image that they want, which is, violent, lazy, degenerate, unholy, unclean. And it's kind of working when you're looking at the death tolls in major cities in the United States and abroad. So it's up to all of us to put out positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. So for that reason, I try to keep it positive as possible on my platform. I don't encourage, foster, condone, or circulate gossip. But what I do is I do keep it real. I'm very honest. If somebody I feel within our community is irresponsibly using their platform or their public I'm trying to search for the word, presence, their likeness in a way that, makes all of us as a people look a certain way, then I will say something like that, but I never try to hurl insults or drag our brother and sister's name through the mud or none of that, or engage in any of that slander and gossip and all that type of stuff. As a matter of fact, when I bring up a famous person's name, it's not to clout chase or to bash them in any way. This is just basically I'm using them as a vehicle to, illustrate a point that I'm making. And all the points that I really try to make here on my podcast is the why. We know we do stuff. We know we have our in-house issues. We do know we have our things we need to work on as a people. But here's why. And I'd be like, I use a famous person to, just reel you in to open your eyes to see, why that's happening. And that's the perspective of, why I bring up their names when I'm doing, delivering commentary. But other than that, it's all positive. This is a positive space. I encourage positivity. I'm spreading and providing positive frames about reference about our people and our culture. So now that you know what the Narrator podcast is all about, without any further ado, here we go, diving in this evening, live edition of the Narrator podcast. Let's get it. So, in stride with my mission statement, to share positivity. This is an audio platform, and I do a lot of talking. So to keep the audience engaged, I have to have interesting stories, and to keep in line with my mission statement, which is changing the narrative. I got to provide positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, because we're constantly being bombarded with negative frames of reference about our people and our culture. It's really like a form of psychological warfare propagated by the powers that be to, mess with our psyches and mess with our subconscious minds. So I believe the term is called trauma conditioning. So what I'm doing on my lives is I'm sharing positive frames of reference via positive news. So when I come across a positive news article, I take and jot it down. I might screenshot it and do some bulleted points and share it with you all. And the purpose of me doing that is to put out positive frames of reference in the atmosphere about our people and our culture. Because like I said, we're constantly being bombarded with negativity, 24/7 a day, 365, just all negative all the time. So this is me putting out some positive energy in the atmosphere, affirming to our subconsciouses and ourselves that positive things happen in our community, excellence happens in our community, sovereignty happens in our community, family structure happens in our community, financial excellence happens in our community. So, that's the purpose of me sharing these articles, to deliver these positive frames of reference, to, show, contrary to what we're being shown every day by the powers that be, which is all negativity and degeneracy, positive things happen in our community. So without any further ado, I'm going to dive into the articles this evening and get it going. So here, for my first positive frame of reference here on the Narrator podcast, it comes in the form of an article, and the headline reads, "Former Black special ed student who graduated with 1.8 GPA is now a best-selling author and therapist." And the brother's name is Rodney Sidney II. He spent 7 years in special ed. He also holds a degree in human services from the Old Dominion University. The article didn't say what state, so you're going to have to do your own Googles, but he graduated in 2016 with that. He's also, an entrepreneur. He's also a motivational speaker. He does TED Talks. He's an author. He's written books. He's also graduated from the state of Virginia University School of Social Work in 2014 with a degree in social work. And he's written 2 best-selling books. One is Nelson Beat the Odds, and that's a autobiographical book about his life. Yet in that story, the character's name is Nelson, but that's really supposed to be him. It was just, detailing, chronicling a special ed's, their plight of being in special ed, getting ridiculed, getting talked about, ridiculed, isolated, all that. So, the experience, that's a book about, what it's like to, be in special ed. Second book that he's written is Tamika's New Dress. And this chronicles, substance abuse about a young lady whose parents were addicted to controlled substances. And I think in the book, the substance is crack cocaine, which is still a big epidemic, with all these weirdo drugs, that's still kind of the biggest threat and killer in our community as well. I don't think it's ever going nowhere. But yeah, that's what that book's about. So that was very interesting that I picked that brother, because I'm going to do a little side tangent. This is why it is indicative that we as a people start building our own schools. Because once they put that special ed label on you, on your child, it becomes impossible, nearly impossible, to navigate in this North American wilderness. It's like once they try to instill that in you that you can't, then it becomes reality. And that's, again, what I was getting at when I was giving, my synopsis on, why the powers that be set up the media like that and keep on feeding us these negative images. So within that case, within his case and the whole lot of our children's cases, they get put in, special ed classes, and these, them folks that tell them they got ADD, ADHD, LD, or just straight up mentally challenged, and nothing's wrong with them, absolutely nothing. They're quite brilliant. The thing that's wrong with them is they don't want to teach them, because they see the potential within them. They know what they're going to be. Just like as surely as, you work a 9-to-5 job, like when you go in that interview, it's already set in stone. Right when you do your interview, they're collecting data that the employer already has in their mind how far you're going to go in that company, their plans for you. You know what I'm saying? Y'all basically in the job interview, you're finessing each other, but they know exactly who you are when they see you. And so, said all that to say, in terms of our children in these public school systems, they're being taught by the oppressor, then they don't want them to, rise up and be what they're destined to be. They see that potential in them. They know what they're going to be when they have your child in their class. They're fearful of it. They're afraid of it. And some of them just downright hate the notion of one of our children rising up and being successful. So that's why it's important for us to start our own schools, colleges, elementary, from kindergarten on up into college, have different colleges, the traditional 4 years, and also vocational training facilities to teach, the lost arts, just things that's never not going to be in demand, such as brick masonry, carpentry, electrical wiring, facility maintenance, drywalling and stuff like that, welding. But anyway, like I said, I kind of went on a side tangent, said all that to really say I don't believe that he was ever mentally challenged. I believe, the powers that be just put a label on him because they didn't want to teach him. They didn't understand his thought process, and it's just, it's just easier to say, something's wrong with him, instead of, admitting that they know what they're learning is some BS. What you're teaching them is some BS, because as original people, we're in tune with nature, and we're just naturally have natural BS detectors. And, about 89% of everything they teach in public schools, especially to our children, is some BS. But anyway, so like I said, this brother, he's a activism advocate, motivational speaker, entrepreneur. He's done everything in life that they said he would never be able to do. And for that's why I covered him on my very first article of this evening. So, let's join me into giving this brother a warm narrative podcast round of applause to our brother Rodney Sidney II. All right, moving right along. Next section here on the Narrator podcast. The headline reads, Black twin brothers walk 600 miles for foster care awareness. And the brothers' names are the brothers who are actual biological brothers. Davon and Trayvon Woods. They're from Pennsylvania. They got adopted they've been in foster care since age 2. They walked 600 miles from Symetra, Philadelphia for a nonprofit they started called Foster Kids Matter. And if you would like to know more about that organization, what it's about, and if you were interested in helping or donating, you can go to fostercaremattersinc.org or go to fkm.life https://fkm.life. Or you can go to, they got a Facebook page as well. Just type in Foster Kids Matter, and, that'll pop up if you're on Facebook. But it's a very noble cause organization, because, if anybody needs to have awareness, it's us as a community, because we already know that this system was not designed for us to accommodate us in any type of way. We was never supposed to escape it. We're not even supposed to have the things that we have. So just imagine if one of our children are in a system that wasn't never designed to accommodate us anyway. Like we've all heard the horror stories about, foster care. It's really far and few in between that our children in foster care, grow up and be successful in life. It's a whole lot of baggage and emotional scars. So said all that to say, as a community, we should do that too. Just because you may not be able to biologically make a family, or just don't, some people really just don't want children, but, there's a lot of our children out there lost in the system. They need love, and they're not going to get it in them folks' foster care. So, that's one of the best ways to ensure our future is to help our children. So, we need to get it in gear on foster care, and we need to definitely put out more awareness about foster care. But yeah, those brothers are doing just that. So join me in giving a warm Narrator podcast round of applause for our brothers Davon and Trayvon Woods and Foster Cares Matters. Foster Care Kids Matter. I'm just saying foster care. The organization is, the nonprofit organization is Foster Care Kids Matter. And I don't think I did a good job. Also, they started that nonprofit organization. So they started it. Forgot that little tidbit. But anyway, let's give them a warm narrative podcast round of applause. All right, so last article of this evening. Headline reads, Black woman makes history, graduate with honors degree in marine engineering or maritime engineering. And the sister's name is Monica Nancy. I'm probably going to mess up on her last name. She is from Ghana, so she got a Ghana last name. I'm going to do my best. Kennedy, Candny. She's 23 years old. She graduated with a degree in maritime engineering. Maritime engineering, it's basically like the Navy, anything nautical. So she's building and repairing ships, sophisticated computer equipment. So radar, sonar, anything, technologically advanced. That's what she's doing in that academy. And that's a tremendous feat because in Ghana, they are still very, they're not, liberated like we are in the U.S. when it comes to, the feminist movement or just acknowledging females, period. It's still really male dominated over in Africa. The women still to this day is kind of behind the men in a bad way, not, but that's a tremendous feat for that sister. I'm going to go on another little side tangent. The reason why it's like that over there is because that is a part of colonization. Because as original people within our culture, the woman was never behind that. That's, something Europeans believe in. At the early stages of our civilization, our existence on this planet, our women was our equal on the side of us. They ruled beside us, not behind us. We never believed in that. But, it's thriving over in Africa, unfortunately. So, everything is, male dominated. But anyway, join me into giving this sister a warm narrative podcast round of applause for her accomplishment. Let's give it up for Monica. I'm going to just say Monica. I can't pronounce the last name. All right, so next up this evening here on the Narrator podcast, I got a speaking point section, In this section, what I'm doing is I'll be just briefly deliberating on current events, things happening either globally or things just within our community. And the purpose of me delivering commentary on recent events is that's me controlling the narrative. Because like I already said at the beginning of the broadcast, is that, the media warps the narrative. They go out of their way to, have us looking and sounding crazy. So this is me, when I deliver content, this is me, putting it in perspective, focusing the lens through our eyes on whatever's happening around the world or within our community. So without any further ado, I'm going to jump into my speaking point tonight. And I only got 2 brief ones. It's going to be super brief. If I think I did forget to say when I was doing my podcast, I never tried to exceed 1 hour. Now with my live, I try not to exceed 45 minutes. And the reason behind that is because I'm an audio platform. So I don't have any guests. It's just me talking. When I started this podcast, I had no idea what I wanted to talk about, what type of content to even make. Like I just started, like everybody else, I started my podcast like during quarantine lockdown. And, like a whole lot of other hobbyists, they've been stopped after we came out of quarantine, but I kept it going. But in that, it's an audio platform. Basically, nobody wants to sit up here and listen to somebody talk without a speaking point. And that's why I try not to exceed an hour in a broadcast. So, yeah, that's my time. That's what I forgot to say earlier. Like, this is a time-sensitive platform. I try not to exceed 1 hour when I'm broadcasting here on the Narrator podcast. Secondly, about the speaking points, I think I already covered that. It's just super brief. I'm unpacking it from our perspective, from our views, whatever's happening around the world or within our community, because the media go out of their way to have us looking and sounding crazy. So I got a few, subjects to touch on this evening, and then I actually got one more section, which is a treat, something I haven't done in a while. I got a movie review after this, and here I go, going in. So our brother, Jonathan Majors, just found guilty, facing up to 2 years, 2 counts of harassment and assault. So now the charges, they don't carry, they're only misdemeanor charges. So he's looking at some jail time, but it's argued and debatable whether he deserves any jail time, because they didn't have all the evidence that they had was circumstantial. She didn't produce any medical records to prove abuse. She didn't have any witnesses to prove any form of abuse. All she had was her white testimony. And just like that, that brother's guilty and going to jail. Now, I don't know if he hit her or didn't. I don't know, but what I do know is what they didn't do. They didn't have any 911 calls for evidence. They didn't have any dispatcher calls, because that's typically, in an abusive relationship, they take pictures, beat her up, beat her face in. They didn't have any neighbors for witnesses. Because that's what typically happens in cases like that. They get people in the community that know them as a couple, and they ask, when they're building cases like that, have you seen any type of behavior that would, warrant that type of behavior coming from the person that's accused of doing the abuse? So, said all that to say they didn't do any investigations. She just made an allegation. Well, now it's an actual charge because I don't have to say allegedly, he's been charged of it. But she said he did something and they believed her. And unfortunately, I'm going to bring it up, the puffy thing. And like I said on my platform, I don't do gossip. I don't encourage it. I don't condone it. I'm just doing it to frame this up from this perspective. Look at the comparison and contrast of it. So Cassie is a sister. Diddy's an entertainer, so he has power, wealth, whatever. But Cassie's a sister. And did you notice how many years this went on? And she settled out for some money. Okay, he is facing jail time, but it's highly unlikely he'll get some. If he gets some jail time, it's because the powers that be is trying to make an example out of him. And that's primarily what the whole penal, if we're going to keep it a beam, that's what the penal system was designed for anyway, to make examples out of our people, because the penitentiary system was designed to hold our people. That's the origin story of the penal system in America. That's what it was designed for. Yeah, that whole concept of, working for the state, it's slavery. So slavery never got abolished. It's still here. It's called the penitentiary. It's called the county jail. But anyway, just look at both cases, compare and contrast. Now, Cassie's a sister. This went on for years. This lady's a Caucasian woman. It was almost immediate. There was almost immediate sentencing. Found guilty immediately. This didn't go on for years. This didn't go on for just until she can't take no more. She made an allegation, they believed her. And that's how it kind of always is. Our sisters always get the short end of the stick. There's nothing in place to protect them. To protect them from us, for the ones of us that are engaged in domestic violence. And then there's also nothing to protect them. There's definitely nothing in place to protect them from people outside of our community from harming them in any way. Our country doesn't skimp at all. They don't even try to hide it, what they feel when they think about us as a people, especially our women. I mean, I'm putting it out there. You can take and look at it any way you want to look at it. But the proof's in the pudding. What are we talking about here? So like I said, now with the Cassie thing, I don't know. I'm not judging her. I'm not judging Diddy. I don't know. To me, they're both entertainers. I don't know. It's like he say, she say. But in this, pardon the pun, this is black and white. A brother dating a Caucasian woman. A Caucasian woman says, hey, he did something to me. He hit me. He physically abused me. He mentally abused me. Instant punishment. Instant punishment. So I'm not bashing interracial relationships, interracial dating. Many of my family are products of interracial relationships, and I love them. I got tons of Caucasian people in my family that's cool beans with me. But as far as the whole thing, this is kind of what you sign up for, sisters, when you dating outside of your community. Brothers, when you dating outside of your community, you sign up for that. Because all it takes is them to say you did something to them. That's all it takes is, all they got to do is hop on the phone, call the police. Hey, he assaulted me. And see how quick they come. All he got to do is hop on the phone. She won't leave. And see how quick they come and how roughly they treat her when they get there. She's tearing up my property and she won't leave. But when we do stuff to each other, they don't care one way or the other. It's win-win. You know, one of us is dead, one of us is in jail. It's win-win when we do it to each other. But when we do it to them, we quickly learn about the justice system. If one of us is the aggressor doing something to a Caucasian person, we quickly learn about, you know, how the justice system is structured here in America. But as long as we're, you know, committing crimes against each other, trying to hurt or kill each other, it's all good. But the instant we are the aggressor and we do something against a Caucasian person, it's a wrap. And you can marinate that. You can take that to the bank. But that's all I had to point out about that particular topic. They said the charges aren't too severe. If he faces any jail time, it'd be like, you know, probably like a little over a year, maybe 9 months, 10, 11 months, something like that. So slight. It's not going to be like hard, intensive labor. He might have some cooking details or whatever, but he shouldn't be going to jail anyway if she didn't have concrete, solid evidence. She got convicted with circumstantial evidence. She just said he did something. No pictures, no medical records, no phone records. All right, so Trump news. So he's appealing his immunity, you know. There's that, and then he's also appealing being on the ballot because they're trying to stop him from running for president. I've expressed my thoughts about the presidency, politics, time and time again. It's all a finesse. It's all a con. None of those candidates care about our people. The Democratic Party definitely don't. They're not even hiding it. We started the Republican Party. They turned on us. Grassroots, all that, all them, you know, party affiliations, don't care about us. So far as Trump goes, I can care less, but I just basically don't know why we're doing this whole rigmarole. Like, he's going to be the next United States president. Like, we was sitting there in our living rooms watching the Capitol Hill riots. You see, when them damn folks don't get their way, what they do. But as soon as we speak above a whisper, we got the National Guard on our lawn. But he's going to be the next president. So whatever you think about him, like, it don't matter how you vote. Like, he's going to be the next president. Like, that's a fact. So my last section of this evening is a movie review. I haven't done those in a while. So what better way to end it this year than with a movie review? So today is my last live. The last time I would be broadcasting live from 2023. And this weekend will be my last full episode of the Narrator podcast for 2023. Because it's the holidays, ain't nobody doing nothing. Everybody's focusing on Christmas and New Year's Eve. So I don't see the, reason to broadcast around that time frame. So I probably won't do another one to the second or third week of 24. But I haven't done a movie review in quite a while, so I'm gonna do, to my extreme pleasure, a movie review. And anybody that's been following me knows I'm super critical with movies, the way I rate movies, the lens and how I look at it when it comes to our people and our culture, our images and our likenesses. I'm super brutal. Like, you heard, how I, gave my thoughts on, Wakanda 2 and what one did I do this year? Woman King. Yeah, I reviewed that. Yeah, I've reviewed quite a few movies on here. But, yeah, so tonight I got a movie review. Candy Cane Lane. Candy Cane Lane. It is good. I'm going to give that a good, and this is like generous coming from me because I'm super brutal. I'm going to give it a 7.8 out of 10. Liked it. It was good. It was wholesome. The humor was smart and intelligent. Eddie Murphy don't miss. Tracy Ellis, she is like, the black Joan Cleaver. Like, she really does a good job at playing the role of a mother. Like, so she was a really good mom on Blackish. She's a really good mother in this film, her character. They had good family structure. Very good. Successful. Still in touch with his roots, his character. There was a whole lot of gems and teachable moments in the film about things that happen within our community and just things that happen in the world, stuff you can't really control around you. So it was really good. It was a real good movie. It's good and wholesome for the children. So, ain't no like ratchetness. I didn't see too many stereotypes. It was some stereotypes in there. DC Young Fly had a cameo in it. Good, pretty much ensemble cast. Very good special effects. So here's my my criticism of the movie. Now, there was some undertones in there that, didn't set too well with me. So without giving away too much of the plot, the characters, the mother and the father, Eddie Murphy was the father, Tracy Ellis was the mother. Some undertones that kind of made me side-eye a little bit is, living out in the suburbs. A lot of us do it like when we start making a whole lot of money, the first thing we do is go out in the suburbs or a gated community. And we've been psychologically programmed and conditioned to believe, well, I want to get out of this neighborhood. I want to escape this neighborhood, this brutal, cruel, dirty neighborhood, this foul, stinking ghetto. Instead of having the mindset, well, I make more money, why not just purchase this home that I'm renting, renovate, put up a fence, and just slowly repair this house that I'm renting in the hood. Keep that job that's paying me well, and the extra money that I'm getting it, funnel into this house, and then I'm going to go buy that other house across the street that's for sale, and then I'm going to buy that other abandoned house that's just up the block for sale. But no, what do we do when we start, making a whole lot of money? We go all the way out into the gated community or out in the suburbs for the air quotes, better life. And so, that kind of sort of got, matriculated into this film, that mentality sort of. And I'm saying sort of because it wasn't there. It was like a trail of breadcrumbs alluding to it, but it was just, they didn't come all the way out and just say that. So like I said, it was some smart, that's my really only criticism is, about that movie and about our people. Like, we think, like, I'm going to say it started with the Jeffersons theme song, with, programming and conditioning us to like move out of our neighborhoods as soon as we start making, like, as soon as we, move up a couple of tax brackets. We just abandon our neighborhood instead of just improving the neighborhood. And we're the only group of people that does it. Italian people stay in the Italian community. Asian people stay in the Asian community. Spanish people stay in the Spanish community. When we start making money, our first thing we do is we leave our neighborhoods. I'm just saying, but like I said, charming, really, I guess, whimsical. Whimsical is a good word for it. It's a good whimsical holiday, feel-good holiday movie. Now, me, myself, personally, I done said many, many times, I don't believe in this capitalistic spending holiday, like, because it's like really harmful to our people. Like, we get all been out of joint over this man-made holiday that has nothing to do with, what it's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be the birth of Jesus Christ for those people that believe in Jesus Christ, but has absolutely nothing to do with it. You're sitting up there worshiping a fat white man that crawls down the chimney, but you're a Christian. But anyway, outside of that, like I said, it's a good, whimsical, feel-good movie. The comedy is really smart. The performances was right on time. Everybody was nailing their part. I didn't have too many gripes. It wasn't cringy. I done seen some cringy holiday movies that coming out of our community that we directed and executive produced that had way more stereotypes than that movie. I done seen movies that's black from the top to the bottom that made me cringe with the holiday, with the stereotypes about our people and our culture. But like I said, this is really smartly done. The only issue I had about with it seemed like it was glorifying, living in, the better, air quotes, better life. But they rectified that towards the end of it. You got to go check it out and peep it for yourself. But towards the beginning, it seemed like, the character is like, yes, we're doing good. We're moving on up. That Jefferson's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, have you ever just sat back and really listened to, listen to the theme song of the Jeffersons? How, divisive that is to your subconscious. Well, we moving on up to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. That's the ending, but the beginning of it is more upbeat. But they're clapping, and that vibration, that's going into your subconscious. And then the words is, beans don't burn in the kitchen. So that's already telling our living experience is inferior to their experience. Fish don't burn on the grill. We took a whole lot of climbing just to get up that hill. And then here's the bridge. Now we up in the big league, taking our turn at bat. It's you and me, baby. And ain't nothing wrong with that. We moving on up, to move out of our neighborhoods, to go to a high rise in the sky with people where ain't nobody in that building that looks like us. You know what I'm saying? So that's just something to think about. From when you want to move on up, you might want to think about just maybe stay where I'm at and fix my house up. Purchase this house that I'm renting. Unless, there are exceptions to every rule now. If you live in, somewhere like Chicago or one of the wards in Texas, you might want to come up out of there. If you live in, somewhere in Compton in California, you might want to come up on out of there when you get some bread. But I'm just saying on the whole, but like I said, I was not mad at it. It was a very good movie. I highly recommend you watch it. Sit down with the little ones. You can have a family movie night, date night, whatever. It's a good feel-good movie. I'm going to watch it again and again. It's going to be my new holiday ritual. We all got our favorite holiday movies we like to watch. And I think this is my new favorite holiday film. So I highly recommend it. Go check that out. Candy Cane Lane, dope. 7.85 out of 10. So says Halsey on the Narrator podcast. Let's give the entire cast of Warm Narrative podcast round of applause for bringing us that holiday nugget. Well, that's it, and that's all, you guys. That's all I have for this evening. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Narrator podcast. I will see you this weekend for a full episode of the Narrator podcast. And I probably won't do another upload, like I said, to probably the second or third week of January of 24. But thanks for all the support. Thanks for all the inspiration and motivation to my faithful listeners. Just keep on helping me grow the platform. Download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrator podcast, wherever you get your podcast information from. Join me this weekend for a full episode of the Narrator podcast. This was my last live edition of the Narrator podcast, but when I start broadcasting again in 24, the best way not to miss me when I broadcast live is to follow me on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Halsey Allen, and my Twitter is Halsey Allen. And the reason why you want to follow me on YouTube and Twitter is because this platform that I'm on broadcasts directly to YouTube and Twitter. So anytime I'm broadcasting, like I'm broadcasting live right now, it goes straight to my YouTube channel. It goes straight to my Twitter channel. So yeah, that's the best way to, catch a live episode of the Narrator podcast. Follow me on YouTube, Twitter, Halsey Allen. Hit the subscription button, the notification bell, and you will be alerted every time I'm broadcasting live on the Narrator podcast. And Twitter as well. I don't know if people get alerts. I'm not too proficient with Twitter. I done had my Twitter account for some years now. I'm still not too proficient with it, but I guess if somebody's broadcasting live on Twitter, you will get a notification. But anyway, Twitter, YouTube, follow me, Halsey Allen. And I've also written a book titled The Black Card. I wrote this. This is my crowning achievement for this year. It's available on poetizer.com. And you can purchase it. They have a virtual bookstore. So poetizer.com is a writer's platform. It's for people that write poetry like myself, and people that, write novels and short stories as well. So this is a writer's platform. And what they have is a feature that converts your post into a book. And that's what I did. And the name of my book that I titled is The Black Card. The Black Card basically is an all-comprehensive snapshot of us as a people. Everything that encompasses, everything that engulfs us, everything that is us as a people, is a reflection of us. It's basically a survival card, like a day in the life of 30 witty, insightful, creative poems chronicling, our existence as a people. You will love it. It'll make a great coffee table read, travel book, alone time book, bath book. If you're going to take a bath with it, keep the pages from not getting wet. Well, women are experts. They always reading in the tub, but yeah. It'll be a good read. Definitely make a good Christmas present. Go get that. The Black Card. Go get your copy today. Go to poetizer.com inside their virtual bookstore and purchase the black card or get your black card revoked. Next order of business, I have a personal poetry blog on blogger.com. And the name of my blog is called Hallzies Poetry Corner. It's a collection of poems that I spontaneously write and blog. So I just spontaneously write them and just upload them. I don't put any thought into the subject matter. I don't put any thought into the title. I just get to going. I just get to going to town, and when I'm done, I'm done. It's just written in the spur of the moment. Like if it was hip hop, I guess my type of poetry would be considered a freestyle. So, that's what that is. Go check that out and support that. The way you can help support my poetry blog is share the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner. And the link is www.mrhallziesblogs.com, or a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner across all platforms. So whatever you're, active on, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat, whatever you're active on, share the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner or a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner on all platforms. As a matter of fact, while I'm taking my little hiatus for the first week of January in the new year, that's what I'll be doing. I'll be blogging my poetry. So, go check it out. Hallzies Poetry Corner at www.mrhallziesblogs.com. The tagline for my poetry blog is Hallzies Poetry Corner. Poetry with a passion. Poetry for all occasions. Go check it out. Get your poetry fix on right now. Go to Hallzies Poetry Corner. Share it across all platforms. Well, that's it and that's all. It's been a really fun, productive year. I'm looking forward to, expanding and just keep on doing everything right that I did this year. Amplify it by 10 moving forward in 24. Thank you guys for all making it possible. The Narrator podcast, we're going to do it, man. We're going to do it. We here, I'm here, you here. So this weekend, I'm going to switch the format up a little bit. I was thinking about it. I got a section. I got my weekend format, divided into sections. Each section has a speaking point. And the purpose of that is to help me cover a lot of subject matter in a little bit of time. I got one section called the highlight section. I'm probably not going to do that this weekend. Instead, I think I will replace that with my recap of this year of 23. But all my other sections, for those that listen to my podcast, I'm going to probably do all my other sections. It'll just be one minor change. So since I'm not going to be broadcasting, on New Year's Eve, and I'm probably not going to do a upload the first week of January. I'm going to just, give my year in review, but all the other sections that I cover on the weekends, I'm gonna do that. But it's going to be dope. Tune in this weekend for a full episode of the Narrator podcast. So that's it and that's it and that's all. This concludes another episode of the Narrator podcast. I will see you in 24. If you miss me over the weekend, I'll see you in 24. But this episode of the Narrator podcast is a wrap. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in tonight. I'm Halsey Allen. I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time. I'm inviting you to join me in my quest to change the narrative by becoming a narrator. And on your end, you can, while I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time, you can change the narrative on your social media platforms, one social media post at a time. Until next time, Halsey Allen and the Narrator Podcast, signing off. And it's like that.
You are now listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.